Well, speaking of your music, might as well play another song. What are you thinking of playing?
I might play a song, particularly after we've heard Children of War.
Yep.
There's a song called Reunion Song, which I wrote about a young guy called Justin who came to the Children of War Rehabilitation Centre, and he was just 17 years of age, but he'd been at war for the past 9 years. Mm-hmm. And when he was first escaped from war, he ended up in prison in Sudan for 2 years. He tried to kill himself twice, but the gun he used didn't fire, it backfired. So that didn't work, and he'd just completely given up on life. And when he was finally rescued and brought back to Uganda, he came to the World Vision Rehabilitation Centre where my wife and I were working, and he had a huge smile on his face every single time I saw him. He was just so happy to be free and so happy to be going home. And we got to be there on the day that he travelled back to his home village and see him reunited with his family, which was one of the most emotional days of my life, because he found out that day that his mother and father had passed away, but his grandmother, this 92-year-old woman, was still alive, and she was going to take care of him. Mm-hmm. And so this song basically just sings that story. Final corner, and his smile began to grow. In the air, the smell of mangoes, goats and chickens on the road. Oh, the sun was bright and blinding. The day he came back home, he said, "My reunion's come. My reunion's come after all these years." Underneath the shade of branches, one by one he was embraced. The dust rose with their dancing as they sang their songs of praise. All his family gathered around him. They bowed their heads to pray. They said, "Our reunion's come. Our reunion's come after all these years." Oh, oh, oh. Cicadas, they were calling in the tall green grass so deep. His grandmother ran towards him. She danced triumphantly. She clutched him by his shoulders. They both began to weep. She said, "Our reunion's come. Our reunion's come after all these years." Oh, oh, oh. His grandmother tells him that now he's returned. All of her worries have ceased. Says, "Now that you're here in my arms once again, now I can finally sleep." Oh, oh, oh. Ooh,
Yeah, that was just Levi McGrath, and a great track of
Reunion.
Reunion, yeah. How did you get started in music, Levi?
Well, it was a while ago. I've been doing music in terms of singing and writing songs for 11 years, since I was 14. And I guess I started playing piano at about age 10, and moved through that onto learning bass guitar and playing in bands at school, and as well in my local church band and youth band. And then, picked up guitar after I kind of realised that bass was a bit boring to play alone, and didn't sound like all the notes were there. And I really wanted something I could sing along to and write songs with. So got into guitar at 14 and started writing poetry and trying to put those poems into songs, trying to pursue a music career. And I ended up in a truss factory working with 9 refugees from Iraq, some that spoke very little English, and I just totally felt like all my musical dreams had come to an end. I was going to work at 6 o'clock every morning and building these trusses on this factory line, and was just getting really quite depressed and quite down and thinking that my dreams would kind of never arise. By chance, I'd started working with an organisation called House of Restoration, which were working with street people and homeless people around Flinders Street in Melbourne. And every Friday night we'd go out and just try and make friends with these homeless people. We didn't have any food or money or big things to offer these people, but we really wanted to develop a friendship with them. And there was a community housing program that they ran for some of the street youth that really needed some mentoring and a place to live. So I got to be involved in that, and it was really, really cool. And after going to Africa for the first time as well, I was kind of charged up, but didn't really know what to do or how to focus my music in on that. And by chance, I met with a group called Small House Records, who I've been working with for the past 5 years, and struck up a relationship with Mark and Nikki Tolk from Small House Records. And at first they didn't like my music at all. It was just not up their alley. But they kind of wanted to get to know me and my wife, and liked our passion and kind of our commitment to social justice and the work we'd been doing. And so we met with them a few times for dinner, and they said, we just feel this is going out on a limb a bit, but we'd like to sign you up as one of our artists to our record label. And I thought, crikey, this is what I've been dreaming about. This is what I've been waiting for. So I was just eager, and a few months later I signed up and recorded my first album, Move, with those guys in 2007, and toured around Australia in 2008. And before I knew it, I was really getting to live this dream that I'd thought about since childhood. And I was really excited that life didn't stop in that factory, or life didn't kind of come to a sudden halt, and all these creative things were just lost. So it's been a real blessing and a real adventure, I think.
It's a really beautiful story, actually. Lovely, yeah.
Just quite often the musicians we have some sort of family musician link, I'm just wondering, did you pick it up from your parents, or were you a surprise?
This often comes up, and I must say that my dad was an avid listener of 2 CDs every Saturday morning at the crack of dawn, and that was John Farnham or The Cause, and it was only those 2 CDs that ever played in my household growing up. So I can't say I really took my musical stylings up.
You don't sound like John Farnham, and you don't look like The Cause.
That's a good thing. Maybe. I wish I sounded like John Farnham, actually. But my sister was actually the one who taught me to sing. She had a voice like Mariah Carey, and just had an incredible voice, and would like to sing with me growing up, and I would always back her up at family concerts that she'd give for friends and family at our house, or play guitar for her while she sung, and that was kind of my very early musical training. But yeah, I think both my sister and I were a surprise to our parents in the musical talents that we like to express, so that was a bit funny, yeah.